Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar, What's Going On with the Career Planning Portal. This webinar was originally hosted live on Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. I am your host, Marlene White, and during the live webinar, my colleague Karen Gomez Lopez also joined me. The focus of this webinar is to provide an update on a project around the career planning portal, which I had the pleasure of leading, and moving forward, Karen will now be overseeing updates made to the portal. All right, let's begin. So what is the career planning portal? The career planning portal helps individuals discover various professions in the early learning field. It provides financial aid resources and outlines education programs in the early learning field. And let me just show you what the portal looks like. This is the home page. And as you can see, there are different sections to find a degree, resources, financial aid, FAQs, and we'll dive more into the portal a little bit later. All right, like I mentioned in an earlier slide, I led a project around the portal, and it was based on a grant that we received from North Seattle colleges. The grant had two main deliverables for DCYF. One was to improve the website, and the other was to market the website by creating an awareness campaign to increase the visibility of the portal. So how was I going to improve the website? By conducting UX, or user testing. But what does that mean? What is UX? Oh, I will get to the UX part in a second. I did move my slides a little bit. Before I get to UX, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the timeline of this project. In October, the contract between North Seattle colleges and DCYF was set in place. A project charter was created, and basically that's when I really outlined the plan to determine what was going to happen, who was going to do what, when were we going to do the deliverables, and yeah, that all started in October. In December and January, we really focused on updating any outdated content on the site, like if there was information that didn't make sense, or if there was any outdated PDFs or resources, we just went in there to update any content that was outdated. And in February, we set up the contract with Anthro-tech, which is a UX firm. And I'll talk about a little bit more about Anthro-tech in a second. And in the springtime, we did UX recruitment. So that's when we recruited people in the ECE field to provide feedback on the website. We did the research on the site. The results came back to us in the spring. And right now you'll see we are in June. This contract with North Seattle colleges ends June 30th. And we're working on a marketing plan. And we're working on a plan to implement the feedback we received from the testers. All right, so let's talk about UX. So what is UX? UX stands for user experience. And UX focuses on the user as the guide to create better outcomes for anything that the user uses. So it encompasses all aspects of the end user's interaction with a company, its services, and its products. So you'll see in this graphic, I really put the user at the center, and everything around it is around that user. And that's how I like to go about my work, is anything I create, whether it's communications, website content, our newsletter, the information that's displayed on our website, I really like to get the input from the user to see how they're perceiving the information, how they're going to understand it, whether it's good for them, or like if I'm doing it correctly based on their needs. And I also put, like a little picture here of a building, because the user really should be at the center when we're building anything. When you're building homes, you want to make sure that you have everything that the user needs. When you're building buildings, you got to make sure that they're accessible and really have the user at the core center of anything that a company or services does. So hopefully this graphic kind of gets at that. But I am going to drill this UX piece because it's so it's embedded in basically like how I go about my work. And this graphic just shows, how designers may make a specific design for a walkway right here. They might have thought, oh, this is such a great design, this people are going to be taking this path and this was the best design we could have done. But in reality, what the user experiences is different. It's actually way more time consuming to go all the way here and then go around. So the user experience sometimes differs than the design, which aligns with this photo that designers should always keep their users in mind. And I just can't stress this enough. Like if we're designing something, if I'm designing a policy that's going to affect the public, I should keep my end users in mind when doing that. Or if I'm a designer and I'm designing a chair, I'm going to design a chair that is obviously comfortable for the user. Otherwise, they won't use it. So that's exactly what I did for this project. When this project came over to DCYF and the main deliverable was to update the site, I wanted to learn, well, what do users have to say about the site so we can really tackle those things and update, content or design of the site. So it's just better overall. So I decided to do some UX research on it, and I contracted with Anthro-tech. They're a user-centered design consultancy focused on government agencies, nonprofits, and enterprises with a social impact mission. So, they do a variety of things in the user-centered design field. And so I was really excited to contract with them because I actually learned about them through a program I took through UW that was focused on user-centered design. So this happened in February. The UX testing, or also known as like user research, which is basically interviews or feedback from the user, started taking place in the springtime, and it was conducted by Anthro-tech. Actually, let me show you. You might have seen this communication. It went out in March, and we were looking for participants to, help give us feedback for the portal. We were looking for a mix of participants in the ECE field, including bilingual participants. And then we kind of talked about like, what does participation look like? And participants even received a $100 Amazon gift card. So if you were a participant, thank you so much for your time. Your participation really provided us great results on what the portal needs. So let's go back to that actually. So let's more about the UX research. If you can imagine, if we were in person and UX research is conducted in person, this is kind of what it looks like, where you have the user going onto a website and they're just navigating a website, and the researcher is taking notes on where they're getting hung up or where they have questions or where they seem to be confused. They typically have the user, speak out loud, like, oh, this is a great page. Oh, I really like the design of this page. Oh, this one's really confusing. Or, oh, I'm stuck here. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to find that. And the researchers taking notes on, the different various sections of the site that the user is talking about. The UX research conducted by Anthro-tech were all virtual. And if you can imagine, it was basically the same concept, but done on Zoom, where the participant is sharing their screen and they're talking through what they're looking at. The UX research took about 2 months with recruitment, testing, and the results. And participants, so to do a good user research, you want to have around 8 to 12 participants who can provide feedback on a given product or service or website. So our aim was to get 10 participants. Unfortunately, we were not able to get 10. One of them canceled at the last minute, but we did get 9. I was the one who actually picked the 9, and I really try to keep them very diverse from all over the state of Washington, various years of experience in the field, different ages, and I really tried going for different languages. The most of the people who signed up to provide feedback were English speaking, so it's really hard to get Spanish speakers and even Somali speakers to participate. But I really tried hard when organizing this based on their schedules and based on their locations and based on their years of experience. So you'll see it is pretty diverse set of participants. All right, so let's talk about the usability study findings. So after Anthro-tech sat down with our participants, they got results from they basically compiled the feedback from all of the participants, and these are the findings from those results. Participants said that the career portal requires pre-existing knowledge of ECE, of the early childhood education world, to navigate, but those with that knowledge did not find it useful for themselves. And participants noted that the portal contains a lot of useful information, but has a steep learning curve. And participants said that the portal could do more to reflect the diversity of careers in ECE. And there's one more slide. Usability study findings continued. So participants had difficulty navigating several areas of the site, including the guided career search and find a degree, which I will go over in just a few minutes. And then participants found many areas of the site overwhelming, including the guided career search, find a degree, and financial aid. Participants had a positive response to what is early learning, which is one of the main sections of the site, which I'll go over, and said it was the most useful part of the site. So before I go to the next slide and talk about the recommendations that Anthro-tech gave DCYF, I'm going to kind of show you what these things mean or what they look like. All right, so I'm back at the career portal site. And if you remember, there was a comment that said that participants had a very positive response to what is the early learning section, and said it was the most useful part of the site. What is early learning? So if what is early learning? Do you think I'm going to learn about what is early learning? Actually, no. The what is early learning section actually talks about the education levels needed for the various careers that we state on here. And actually, this page is really tied to the careers page, which I'll show you in a second. So for instance, if I happen to have an associate's degree and I'm really curious to learn more about what it takes to be a state-approved trainer, it actually leads me back to this page, and it expands on the, what a trainer is, what the requirements are, and what educational pathway I need to get there. So it was really interesting hearing that, another part of the feedback was that some of these headers just don't really get at what they're supposed to be. What is early learning? This page isn't really about what is early learning. This page is really about the career exploration and where you can go based on your degree, really. So this was really useful for our participants, and this is feedback we received is, it'd be great to expand on career exploration, and expand on career exploration. Like, I'm sure you can get way more jobs and career opportunities if you have a master's degree. Right now, they are pretty limited, and that's something we are looking into. All right, let me go back to another comment. Participants noted that, yeah, this portal contains a lot of information, but there's just a lot of, it's just a steep learning curve. You know, a lot of these pages can be combined. There's a lot of content. For instance, when searching for financial aid, participants said, you know, this page is great, but it is overwhelming. So there is a lot of content, but it's overwhelming because there's just so much, and who has the time to read all of this content? Again, resources, I don't even know where to begin. What are these resources? What do they mean? This is a lot. And I just want to nail down that participants said that the portal could do more to reflect the diversity of careers in ECE. You know, if you have a high school diploma, are these the only careers that you have available to you? And like I said, if you have a master's degree, you could probably do way more with a master's degree than the other degrees. And why are we only listing 4? The other interesting one was, you know, they found some areas of the site, users found some areas of the site somewhat confusing. And let me show you what that is, which was guided career search. So find a degree takes you to a map that shows you just, you know, the different, like, it helps you find colleges in your area. And one of the some of the feedback we received here was that there's just an overwhelming amount of colleges and also an overwhelming amount of ways to search for different things, like what kind of class do I want? Hybrid, online? What kind of language do I want? What schedule? I'm not really sure. Participants did let Anthro-tech know that they would like to see some things simpler, maybe based on zip code, and that zip code would provide you different colleges and degrees in within your like area and radius within your area. So really based on location. The guided career search actually lives within this guided degree search. So this is the guided degree search. It helps you narrow down what you like, where you're at and where you can go. But participants found this, you know, overwhelming because, I mean, I'm overwhelmed just by looking at all this, honestly, right now. But let's go back to the top. So let's say, for instance, I am let's see, I hold a Washington State initial certificate and I want to become, well, what if what I want to become is not listed on here? That's something we did hear loud and clear, is that, you know, these are very limiting to what I currently have, but not what I want to become. So really going back to that feedback around career exploration, we really need to do a better job at reflecting the diversity of careers in ECE. And this guided degree search is not only just overwhelming, but also limiting. Let's see what else. Yeah, so the other specific page was the find a degree, which is the map. And like I said, participants, especially bilingual participants, you know, like it was just hard to navigate when they were given certain tasks. Like, can you find a college near your area that's bilingual or is in English or whatever? It was just difficult. And it's because there's just so much that this map offers that participants just found it overwhelming. So we did hear loud and clear that participants would like to view this information a little easier. And sometimes less is more. Right now, you have all these options to find a degree in your area or just a degree in general. And sometimes it's a little overwhelming. You may not know what schedule you want or what kind of mode you want, but you really want to tailor it. This is the feedback we received from the users. They really want to tailor it to based on their location. And then just the last one that participants found the page overwhelming was the financial aid page. I already stopped on here, but I'm going to go here again. So financial aid, like I said, we list so many options. And I mean, if you have ever gone to college or have dealt with the college system and financial aid, it is a hassle to navigate because there are so many options. I mean, I just tried doing this recently and I was just so overwhelmed. Like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to go. And I was just like, I give up and I'm not even going to follow through with it. So you can imagine if a user is trying to, meet certain requirements, they're trying to go back to school, they're trying to navigate all of these different things. And then they stumble upon this financial aid page where we're trying to help them, give them resources, but they're just overwhelmed already. And when they get here, this is just too much to navigate. All right, so let's go back to the presentations and talk about the recommendations that Anthro-tech provided to DCYF. So Anthro-tech really let us know that based from the user research that these are the recommendations that we should do in order to make the site better overall for all participants or all users that will be using this site eventually or now. So enhance the career portal's usefulness for early career professionals by defining key terms and acronyms. Like you saw, several pages just had an overwhelming amount of text. So we do plan to go back in there and re-edit, basically look at the language on each page to make sure that it is user-friendly and it reads well, and basically cut down on text. Bullet number 2, enhance the career portal's usefulness for experienced professionals by providing more advanced career planning options and adding roles that reflect the diversity of the ECE field. And enable wayfinding and discovery by clarifying content hierarchy, providing descriptive headers, and offering clear next steps, and allowing users to enter a zip code or location in Find a Degree, which is the map page, and provide a prioritized list of colleges programs based on search parameters. And the last bullet, foreground the educational pathway information in what is early learning and provide a clear navigation header that points users to this content. Okay, so what does all of that mean? Basically, go through the whole website and really make it much clearer on really looking at titles to make sure that they align with the page content. And then when you're looking at page content, really looking at the content and its usefulness, whether the language is useful to all readers, not just those that have been in the early learning field and know this terminology. And then the what is early learning section, really have that be upfront and call it something different, probably like careers or explore careers, and have that be the forefront of this website, and also expand on careers. Like, we don't want to limit anyone on their career choice in early learning because there are so many things you can do in this field that we want to highlight those things and really help users how to get to where they want to be based on where they're at, where they want to go, and what they need to get there. So let's talk about next steps, because this was a lot of great useful information for DCYF, and we're excited to tackle this project. So we are currently creating a plan to make the updates based on user feedback, and the work is set to start in the next fiscal year. Because this, like I said earlier, was part of a contract this current fiscal year, which ends June 30th. We just learned what the users are wanting, what the users are saying about the site, and what they would like to change so it's more user friendly. So we definitely want to take that feedback in and implement it so it is, better for all users, regardless of where they're at in their early learning career. And then the marketing campaign is the second portion of this project. Right now, our multimedia office at DCYF is creating a marketing video for this website. But it doesn't make sense to start marketing the site if these updates haven't been made to it. So I am working on a marketing campaign, which I will be drafting, what needs to happen, how we're going to communicate, and all of the communication mediums we're going to use. And then once we start making updates to the site, making it much more user-friendly, we're going to start that campaign. So soon enough, you'll see some of these videos come out on our social media, on our newsletters. So stay tuned for that. August and beyond. Yes, so we do want to do a focus on that career exploration. And that's going to take more than just myself to do. I am not a subject matter expert in the early learning field. There are so many things you can go into in this field that I wouldn't even feel comfortable starting a list or even saying these are the careers. This is going to take more than beyond me, and it's going to take most likely not just our teammates, but even external partners and contractors to help us figure this out and help us figure out how this will look. Will it be based on education? Will it be based on, ages? Or there's so much that we can do that we are going to start exploring what that will look like, but we know that we want to lead with career exploration, and how we're going to get there, we will be working on in the next fiscal year. And when all this work starts happening and continues to happen, we will be marketing this site. So thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, my name is Marlene, and here's my email address if you have any questions. This project Karen will now oversee the career planning portal, and I'm sure we'll have way more communication about this in the future. But if you need to contact either of us for any communications related needs, websites, or for the website content, newsletter, please contact me. And here's my email, marlene.white@dcyf.wa.gov. Or if you have any questions around career pathways, or the career planning portal, you can contact my colleague, Karen Gamez Lopez. And here's her email address, karen.gameslopez@dcyf.wa.gov. Thank you so much.